The wheel demanded, about 3 months ago, that the next Apex Legends character to do is Revenant. Again, but the wheel decides all, so I actually started him. I did the face print and even got the pieces together for his pose as far as here, but when I realized that Revenant V2 is actually just a skin for Revenant, and his original version is still in the game, combined with the fact that I just didn't want to do him and I wasn't vibing that hard with where it was going, I made the incredibly easy decision to abandon it and move on to the next legend, Fuse. The first thing I did was his face print, which was pretty fun as they go. I combined Han Solo's smirk with Baze Malbus's mustache and goatee, and from there I just recolored his hair and reshaped his eyebrows, before adding those scar and eye patch details, a small skin crease on his other cheek, and an outline to his facial hair just to keep it consistent with the rest of the Apex minifigures to date. I decided on these accessories for him. I did need to merge and shrink the hair pieces a little just to suit me, and that rocket piece also needed to be warped slightly so that he could stand on it. Here's some progress shots for the pose overall, which was a little challenging because of his right arm, but I made it work. Next up was his torso print, which took me nearly 2 hours, but it wasn't overly challenging as they go. His inside shirt had some pretty intricate details with the energy drink text, and getting all 20 bullets printed on his chest was a bit tricky in terms of spacing, but outside of that, as is so often the case, the torso print was just time consuming more than anything else. I did add some white highlights to the bullets and grenade canisters for the sake of making them more 3D looking, and a lot of the line work was done in dark bluish grey so it's visible on the black plastic, but that's about as complex as it got. I did his waist print next, and I got super creative and really smart here by changing out the skull on his belt buckle with a minifigure skeleton head. Pretty incredible stuff. Outside of that is mostly just a bunch of much too intricate details to give the whole thing a 3D look. His right leg print was symmetrically identical to his left, so I only needed to worry about detailing this one. I added some bright red in amidst the dark red of his knee pads to kind of get the shape of them across a bit, because purely dark red made it look like a flat shield strapped to his knee or something. And outside of that, I printed all of this onto dual molded legs so that the boot detail was already there under his print on the figure itself. The steel toe of his boots I added a highlight and some shadows to as well, because I again wanted to get that shape across, even though it being purely flat here probably would have been just as good in hindsight. I only needed to print his right arm because of the camera position, and it was really densely packed with detail to a point that I had to choose my line widths really carefully while doing it. I think in the end, if this was real life, I probably went too granular with the details to a point of infeasibility, but I think it turned out well, and honestly it was barely visible in the finished figure anyway, so I guess it doesn't really matter. And finally, there was the Photoshop adjustments, and yeah, there really wasn't a lot to this figure, huh? This is mostly just me fixing some black artifacts in the render of his hairpiece. Again, not really sure why that happens, but I've made my peace with it. And then I just erased until I got that streak of grey in his hair. And with that, Fuse was finished. And here he is in the group picture, alongside the original Revenant, because I'm just not gonna update him, it's just a waste of time. And now let's spin to see who's next. Since last time I did this, they've added Alter, who looks interesting, but potentially annoying with that tail and that pose, so I'd rather not do her right now. I'd like to do Seer though, I think he'd be cool. Who knows, let's see. Oh.